Let's talk about this market that cannot seem to go down. What does it say about sentiment if the market just shrugs everything off?
You know, that's a good way to put it. The market does seem to be shrugging a lot off. It did fall off a little bit and take a breather. I think there was some profit taking, and the coronavirus outbreak kind of gave it an excuse to take a breather. Not downplaying the outbreak, I'm very concerned about it, but and I think it'll be a factor for the next few months. But having said that, I think next week is going to be very important. But the market seems to be looking a lot more forward than it is backward on expectations, which is not atypical necessarily, but it seems to be very bullish about 2020.
I mean, this is very much that Johnny Mercer, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch onto the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In-Between kind of market, Dory. Is it justified to be there? The market has really done nothing but go higher for months now.
Well, yes and no. There's been some good news, good earnings, but we've also had a lot of multiple expansion, and it's getting quite high in a lot of areas. So this is actually getting to be a tough market to find your spots. You want to buy good quality companies, catch a lot of the upside, but the quality companies should hopefully minimize some of the downside, because we're going to have a correction here, and it should be volatile. We're not just going to go up and up and up 2020. At least I don't expect it. I think we'll have a good year, but 2/3 of the time after you've had a great year like we did last year, you know, your forward return in the market is somewhere around, 6 to 10%.
I mean, at this point, should the bulls be hoping for some kind of a pullback? Wouldn't it be healthy? I ask only because it seems as though the threat of Middle East conflict and U.S. war and boots on the ground in Iran and Iraq possibly didn't shake things. We're talking about a market right now that is shrugging off just about every geopolitical concern, including the spread of a deadly virus. What exactly then would prompt the market to move to that downside in that kind of a way?
You know, the market does seem to be shrugging everything off, and here's my concern. You hit the nail on the head. Everyone seems to have a moderately bullish outlook, and they're looking for a pullback, and they're holding cash, and they're waiting for it. But if everyone has that consensus, that makes it kind of tough for it to happen. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. But here's my point then, Dory. If it's going to be like that, where do you pick the spots? You said it's harder to pick spots now. What sectors, industry, types of stocks are you looking at for any kind of a pullback?
Well, you got to be a little bit contrarian. So first place that's probably the most cloudy would be energy, right? We've had a big drop there, a big drop in profits. We're trying to figure out who's going to be in good shape for 2020. The market's trying to look forward on energy, but it's still very cloudy. So you look someplace like a Pioneer, who's a good solid company out in the Midland Basin out there, Permian Basin, and don't get too risky. Just pick a few spots until it becomes a little more clear. I've brought this up quite a few times before, but I still think banking looks really good. There's a lot of good yielding stocks there. They've had a great year last year. Credit still remains strong. Margins are very healthy,
Sure.
And there's many of them that yield 3 to 4 or even 5%.